Oh my goodness, this is one of the great secrets in travel.
This is one of my favorite deals you can use during summer.
Jason, I think that this is one of the hidden secrets in travel deals.
I like to call these buyer beware.
Okay.
You may save $20, $30, $40, even $50, but you should know you're going to get no advanced seat assignment. You're going to board last. American and United, you can't even put anything in the overhead bin.
I don't know anybody who likes to wait in the security line, right? So how about skipping it? Clear biometric security. You give them your iris and your fingerprints. You can put away your ID. It's now in 24 airports, including at Terminal E there at DFW. In fact, Brand Finance just last year said their brand value jumped 63% to $6 billion. People like them. The free bags. They're going to Hawaii later this year. But you're right. These incidents coming right in a row are tough to their reputation. In fact, DFW CEO told Congress that in the next 4 or 5 years, they will need $100 billion nationwide to keep up with this record number of passengers, record number of traffic. And so they are really trying to get these improvements going. Groups are warning that this would be a major, major change and a major disruption as well. Absolutely. And as we talked about last week, having a seat, any seat on the plane, is better than not, because some airlines use whether you have a seat assignment or not when they are considering bumping people. So always grab a seat.
One of the biggest trends nowadays is house sitting, kind of like Airbnb but for free. Even if you go somewhere, let's say you go to California or whatnot, there are sites like mindmyhouse.com, House Sitters America, Trusted House Sitters. For free, you can stay in someone else's house. They get you to stay there. You get a free spot.
Demand is going to be the highest in a dozen years, which means more people want to travel. The economy is improving, so they have more disposable income.
You have 24 hours to check with your spouse, your kids, your boss, your babysitter, your grandparents, whomever, to see if the deal works for you. And if not, you can cancel and get your money back within 24 hours. You want to book the deal, not the destination or the time. If you're flexible, you can get a great deal. You can beat the airlines and the travel agents at their own game. You want to book the deal, not the destination. What do I mean by that? We've got tips to beat the jet lag, which a lot of people can get. We've got tips if you're traveling for families. We've even got a video course that will teach you how to find airfare deals. We're going to give every viewer of Great Day Washington right now 20% off.
Joining us now to discuss, Mark Albert, editor-in-chief of VoyageReport.com. That's a website that specializes in travel news. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Some parts of Mexico right now, the U.S. government considers as dangerous as Iraq and Syria.
Mark Albert is the editor-in-chief of the Voyage Report.
And I think so many people think travel is too expensive, too frustrating, too intimidating.
Right.
And we started this site to make it accessible, affordable, enjoyable for more people. They say you can't put anything in the overhead bins. You can't get an advanced seat assignment. You are going to be boarding last. You'll probably be in the back of the plane. I can't guarantee you fall in love, but these deals will make you really, really happy.
And now to a National Investigative Unit exclusive. A new government program seeks to screen more travelers against a terrorist threat database.
And even though the 9/11 Commission called for more transportation security, this new plan is raising alarms.
Our chief national investigative correspondent Mark Albert's live at Amtrak's Union Station in Washington with the story you'll see only on 5 tonight. Mark.
Ben and Erica, good evening. The 9/11 Commission did warn about the great threats to rail travel, and that includes here at one of the busiest rail stations in the country. For passengers, their name and other personal information may soon be run against a government database that has only been routinely used for air travel until now.
Khalid Tarani knows what it's like to be on a secret government watch list.
They told me that I am on the no-fly list and that I cannot board that flight.
In 2017, after being denied boarding a flight, he submitted a public records request that showed he was on the no-fly list. He successfully challenged the designation, and 7 months later, the Department of Homeland Security told him, quote, "We have made any corrections, including those that may assist in avoiding incidents of misidentification."
So much harassment, and it was really frustrating, and to tell you the truth, it was also humiliating.
Soon, more people may find themselves stopped from traveling. The National Investigative Unit has learned Amtrak wants the TSA to start screening some of its passengers to see if known or suspected terrorists are riding the rails. The program would take personal passenger information from Amtrak, which may also later include a traveler's public social media profiles, and compare it to the government's terrorist screening database for matches. And unlike choosing not to fly, passengers cannot simply opt out of the Amtrak screening by not buying a ticket, because the screening will initially occur using months of past travel, and at first in the Northeast.
It's terrifying to me that
Syra Hussein is at the Electronic Frontier Foundation. We showed her the Homeland Security document we obtained, which is called a Privacy Impact Assessment. The 12-page document acknowledges mistakes and wrong matches are possible. But even though the government claims any wrong matches won't have an impact on a traveler because TSA is only examining past travel, just a few paragraphs later, the TSA discloses the info may be used in other ways by other agencies.
Are you worried about mistakes?
absolutely. It can increase the chances of them facing some really negative outcomes when it comes to a contact with law enforcement should they be stopped for like a broken taillight or something like that.
It's a classic example of mission creep.
Jay Stanley at the ACLU also reviewed the document for us.
Pretty soon we're going to have people walking through body scanners to go to a Little League game. We don't want to turn America into an airport.
The TSA declined our request for an interview about the new program, as did Amtrak. And America's largest passenger railroad did not respond to a detailed list of questions about the soon-to-be implemented screening of its passengers. The document revealing it does say the new rail screening will take place only after Amtrak reveals it in its online privacy policy. That webpage has not been updated since November.
I understand the security needs, without a doubt.
For Khalid Turani, his past experience on and then off the no-fly list prompts this warning.
There must be some transparency measures, and I believe that is going to be key.
Now, initially, the TSA will only give Amtrak statistical information, no names of any matches on that terrorist watch list. The biggest union of Amtrak employees did urge the government to start screening rail passengers against the no-fly list after the January 6th attack by pro-Trump supporters on the U.S. Capitol, right across the street here from Union Station.
A key deadline is just days away to install life-saving technology on America's railroads.
Our National Investigative Unit first revealed 2 years ago how far behind passenger and freight rail were on installing a system to protect communities nationwide from derailments.
Now, Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert finds out who's going to make the deadline, what loopholes still exist, and meets the families torn apart by the failure to act sooner.
We were married for almost 30 years, and I could never have imagined that I would live my life without him.
The teacher from Boise and the banker from Denver met on a blind date. It led to 3 children and a marriage that ended 2 weeks shy of 29 years.
When he was taken, I was incredulous because, as I said to one of my dear friends, this can't be true. We have 3 kids to raise.
Doyle Saucer and 24 other passengers died on September 12, 2008, when investigators say their Metrolink commuter train near Chatsworth, California, blew through a red signal, hit a freight train, and derailed. The National Transportation Safety Board determined the crash could have been prevented had automatic braking technology been installed, meaning Claudia Saucer would not have been a widowed single parent.
It never ever brings the person back, but there's a chance that someone else won't have to live without their husband and father for the rest of their days.
That chance is because of what happened just weeks later, when Congress finally adopted a nationwide requirement for the technology called positive train control.
That crash changed everything.
It did.
Jennifer Hamady is a board member at the NTSB, the independent safety investigative agency that has pushed for increased rail safety technology for a half-century.
Brace.
The National Investigative Unit showed how it works in 2018.
And that was the PTC overriding your decision.
Exactly.
With positive train control, PTC, the locomotive communicates with the tracks, nearby cell towers, rail operation centers, and work crews, using GPS, Wi-Fi, and secure radio transmissions to override an engineer and stop a speeding train.
It'll save lives.
This technology will save lives.
Will save lives.
How can you be so sure?
The NTSB has investigated 154 accidents over the last 50 years, where 305 people died Over 6,800 people were injured. Those lives, those injuries, those families will never be the same. They've lost loved ones, and PTC would have prevented their deaths.
You can go right ahead, keep killing people.
The folks in my district are angry and worried.
The American public is tired of excuses.
The National Investigative Unit has tracked the slow progress of America's railroads to install the technology. Now, with the deadline December 31st, only one of those railroads required, New Jersey Transit, is at risk of not meeting it, government data show. But that doesn't mean the nation's rail system is as safe as it could be. As of December 3rd, 19%, 1 out of every 5 passenger railroads using PTC still couldn't talk to each other. An Inspector General report this month found Amtrak can't easily measure PTC reliability or spot problems on its tracks, and its manual workarounds are, quote, error-prone. And the law and FRA regulations only require PTC on 41% of the rail miles in America.
Should all rail miles have it?
Where there is a safety risk, where there could be fatalities or injuries, and I'm including workers in that, absolutely.
But it's arriving too late for Jim Lovell. The father of 3 sons and a daughter died in 2013 when a Metro North train going more than twice the speed limit derailed. 3 others died too. Just 6 months later, Lovell's widow unleashed her fury on the MTA Rail Board that had not yet installed positive train control 6 years after Congress first decided to require it.
To the board members who still feel that safety first is just not going to wash, I suggest you resign.
Today, the railroad has PTC. Nancy Montgomery is a local legislator. Their boys are adults. And the hundreds of letters of support from strangers still give her comfort and a mission.
We need to make sure that the oversight and the management of these companies serves the needs that will continue to keep the little guy in mind so that Jim Lovell's can get on the train and go to work and make it home.
The head of the Federal Railroad Administration, Ron Batory, declined our request for an interview, just as he has every time we've asked for the past 2 years. In Washington, I'm Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert.